Another day, Manchester United are in the news, and probably not for the right reasons again. INEOS have to make some bold and unpopular decisions. The Glazers have run this club so badly for 20 years that INEOS have got to make unpopular decisions to sort out the finances of the club. But are they taking it too far? There was a report a couple of weeks ago saying that the latest round of redundancies might have to come due to the 15 plus million spent to sack Tenag, bring Amorim in, have Ashworth for 5 months, sack him. INEOS mismanagement hasn't helped the financial crisis, but obviously the biggest financial crisis has been caused by 20 years of Glazers, and it's got messy. And the latest decision has caused outrage. It's caused a toxic environment, and people feel the club's soul is being destroyed. There has been some good and smarter cuts, and I will give my thoughts on that. But the latest move is probably, I feel like it's just getting silly. Oh, we'll do this to save 50 quid. We'll do this to save a couple pennies. Do you know what I mean? Talk of a Mason Mount exit, United potentially open to doing maybe a loan with an obligation to buy. I don't think you can loan Mason Mount because he'll go on loan, play 5 games because he's always injured, and they're not going to, buy the player. I guess if there's an obligation to buy, they will. But I don't know. We'll talk about Mason Mount into Milan and Hojlund exit plans and why it could be difficult to let Hojlund go and he could be loaned out. So hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to 10-minute roundup. Do apologise, this video was coming out later, but I had training tonight and I was making quite a few notes actually as well. It was said the staff canteen at Old Trafford, which usually open from 11:30am to 1:30am, is expected to be shut down at the end of the week. The canteen served free hot meals, tea, and coffee instead of lunch. Fruit will be available for free for those working at the stadium. At Carrington, only players will be served a hot meal with soup and sandwiches now on offer to employees. Obviously, they pay for that. La-di-da-di-da. So this is so INEOS can get rid of chefs, get rid of people that cook, so they don't have to pay them money, and also save money by not giving 3 meals out. And I get there's elements of we need to reduce costs where we can. It would cost 20 million to make Casemiro, terminate his contract. So you can't do that. I get you've got a cost cut here and there, but I feel like every cost cut isn't impacting those at the top of the club. It's impacting those at the bottom, the staff, the people that earn the average living wage in a world where in the UK there's a cost of living crisis. The tax is going up. The working people are being really badly affected by everything going on in this country. And these are the people working at United. And now loads of them could be made redundant. And the ones that are still here, oh, you can't have a Christmas party, you can't have a bonus, you now can't have this or this for free, you now can't have this or this or this or this, and you've got to pay more for this, this, and this. These are the people being most affected at the bottom when those at the top have made the mistakes and those players are still making ridiculous money. And, I get that, you can't just stop paying Casemiro his wages. There's a contract there. I get that. But I don't think it's nice. It's just the way it works. And it's annoying that those at the bottom, the working people on average money, are always the ones to pay for the mistakes at the top of the club. It's just the way it is, and it's annoying that it's that way. But I also think some of the cuts are excessive because staff morale is important to performance. If you're going to cut staff down, you're going to have a smaller workforce, and they've got to do a lot more work each. At least have the morale up. If they want to be working there, they want to see this club successful, because bad staff morale, believe it or not, can spread throughout the club and onto the players and increase that toxic environment in the dressing room, believe it or not. It was said there were talks over reducing the funding to the United Foundation, and that Manchester United are estimated to save 1 million a year by ending free lunches at Old Trafford. So again, the talk of reducing funding to foundations. I think there was even a controversy about them stopping the Disabled Supporters Trust and all of that, but I think that backfired. But I tweeted this and people gave me backlash in the comments, but I don't think people understood my point. Casemiro earns 18 million a year. Ashworth's appointment and sacking cost nearly 9 million in 6 months, according to reports. We are paying Rashford 1.6 million to pay for Villa for 5 months because his contract, he's still a Villa player to June 30th, I believe. But the staff and the lowest earners at the club are yet again the ones to suffer. Some of the cost-cutting measures seem silly. Now, I think INEOS have made some smart cost-cutting measures. They've got to be efficient. Staff had to go. We had the most inflated workforce. But we're talking about 450 staff being made redundant. We're talking about cancelling a Christmas party that's going to just save you a couple of grand to, reward the staff that have worked hard, because it's not their fault United are failing. It's the players' fault. It's the people at the top's fault that the club is failing. But the staff work really hard. Why can't we reward them by spending a couple grand on the Christmas party? That's what I mean. Like, I know we're in a financial mess and we've got to make cuts. I look at things from a business perspective, we've got to make cuts. But some of these cuts are excessive. We are now a laughing stock to rivals saying, oh, United could do this, oh, United could do that. There's constant stories of us going and stopping this, going and stopping that. And sometimes it's to save 40 grand. Sometimes it's to save 50 grand. Things that are going to save 5-6 million pounds, I can get it. But you've also got to look at the morale and the squad. This is a toxic environment. You want the workforce to be happy and part of this project to get the best out of them. Because if they're not, and they're being lazy, and they're underperforming, their morale spreads. Everything in this club spreads. And I said, obviously, you can't terminate players' contracts. And what I meant by that, because I got loads of comments saying, oh, Alice, you can terminate players' contracts. But I meant that in relation to cost cutting. You can't terminate players' contracts in relation to cost cutting, because to terminate Casemiro's contract, you've got to pay 20+ million. That's what I meant. You obviously can terminate contracts, but it's going to cost you, or anything like that. So it's much easier to make cuts elsewhere, is what I meant. It's much easier elsewhere to make cuts. So yeah, unfortunately, the people at the bottom have to pay. The people at the bottom, you won't get your bonuses, you won't get your free meal, you won't get your free travel, you won't get this, you won't get that. Oh, you're going to lose your job. And if you don't live in the UK is an absolute mess. The government puts up tax, businesses then put their prices up because they're paying more tax, and then the cost of living goes up. And the businesses, because they're being taxed more, unemploy more people because their profits, they make more people redundant because they're not making as much profit. So there's more people unemployed. The cost of living is continuing to go up, and then the taxes continue to go up, and people have less and less money. And, it's just a big mess in this country. It's a big mess in this country. The people that are working, the working class, even the middle class, the people in the middle and the bottom, they're the ones that are struggling. And you've got INEOS making 450 people redundant, or making cuts here or making cuts there because of the mess at the top of the club. Now, I think, as I said, INEOS are taking the heat. At the end of the day, the INEOS are doing this because of the Glazers. The Glazers misrun this club for 20 years. We've not made a profit for the last 5 years. So this is why we're having to make a cut here. This is why we're having to make a cut there, because of how badly the Glazers have run us for 20 years. But the Dan Ashworth situation, the Ten Hag situation, is on INEOS. They're not blameless. I think INEOS are obviously taking the brunt of the Glazer mess, and they're making unpopular decisions to fix the Glazer mess. But INEOS aren't perfect. They've made messes themselves. So let's talk about the cuts. 450 redundancies after the new cuts, which is ridiculous. I understand you've got to make 200 redundancies. It's not an easy thing to do, but we had an overinflated workforce. 450 though. So we've made 200 redundancies, another 150 redundancies, and now we're making another 100 redundancies. And one report said we're making those redundancies because of the money that we missed about with the Ashworth Ten Hag situation, and we need to make up for that. And if that is true, that's a disgrace. Good for making redundancies, but if you're losing 450 people, is everybody who's working at United going to be doing 2 people's job? Is it going to be unsustainable? That's the big question. Reduce funding to the Man United Foundation. They attempted to cut the 40k annual budget to the Disabled Supporters Association. That's 40k. 40k is nothing for a business like Man United to the Disabled Supporters Association, but I think they got backlash and stopped that. They cancelled the staff Xmas party and replaced the £100 bonus with £40 M&S vouchers, I believe. Again, the staff Xmas party was stupid. They ended free staff lunches. I get the staff can bring in a packed lunch and pay for their own lunch. That's not the end of the world, but again, it's morale. They reduced ticket allocation for family, staff and friends of both men and women's team. FA Cup finals, staff must pay for their own travel, unless you're obviously like Ten Hag. Staff no longer have access to chauffeur-driven cars. Absolutely fair enough. But then you see Avram Glazer and Joel Glazer going on a jet to London for 4 days and putting 300 grand on the club's expenses. That's what annoys me about those kind of things. Obviously, Sir Alex's contract got axed, or extra pay. Certain staff members that got axed were popular staff members that have been there a while, but I guess you have to make unpopular decisions because you've got to completely reset the club. And then on top of this, you're putting the ticket prices up 2 days after CAF dies. You're saying, oh, what's happened to our season tickets? Some of these cuts I completely agree with. Staff no longer having access to chauffeur-driven cars. Yeah, some of these staff needed to go. We had the highest workforce in the Premier League. We had 200 more employees than Man City, or 150 more employees than Man City. Yeah. I think that some of these cuts are smart. It's unpopular, but it's a business decision. You've got to run the club more efficiently. The Glazers didn't run this club efficiently. Well done, INEOS. But I also think that some of these cuts are, in my opinion, excessive. Man United's statement was breaking. Manchester United is to transform its corporate structure as part of a series of additional measures to improve the club's financial sustainability and enhance the operational efficiency. The transformation plan aims to return the club to profitability after 5 consecutive years of losses since 2019. This will create a more solid financial platform for which the club can invest the men and women's, weirdly, because INEOS don't like the women's team, interesting, football success and improved infrastructure. As part of these measures, the club anticipates approximately 150 to 200 more jobs may be made redundant, subject to consultation process with employees. This would be in addition to the 250 roles removed last year. That's 450 redundancies. Look, there was probably going to be 200 redundancies that needed to be made of people we didn't need or jobs that could be covered, but 450, that's not nice. And this isn't INEOS's fault. Maybe these people need to go. Maybe we don't actually need them. But some reports are saying they're only going because of the 15 million wasted on the amorim 10R gas ref situation, and we need to make money for it. It's just like, it's not so much the redundancies. I think it's just the little decisions that bug me. Redundancies have to happen. You've got to run this club more effectively as a business. The club is in a financial mess because of what the Glazers done for 20 years, and INEOS have got to make the unpopular decisions to make up this mess. But you're hearing things like cancelling staff Christmas party, cancelling this for staff, cancelling that for staff, putting ticket prices up, not Jim Ratcliffe not knowing who Katie Zellum was. And it's just a bit, I think, it's just not nice. I think everyone else is just taking the mick out of us and laughing at us. And, recruitment, obviously we're going to close offices down in London and Hong Kong as well. We just, every week a story comes out about Man United and something we're doing, and everyone just reads it and starts laughing at Manchester United. Anyway, continuing on, my general thoughts on this was we need to cut costs to operate more efficiently. INEOS have got to make unpopular decisions, and that's fair. But I don't agree with all the decisions. Luke Shaw earning 8 million in the last year, not starting a single Premier League game. I know there's nothing INEOS can do about it, but it just shows Luke Shaw earns 8 million a year and doesn't start a game, and 400 staff lose their job who are on less than that. The 400 staff that have lost their job are on less than what Luke Shaw earns in a year. Like, that's also the sad truth of the situation. But look, it's just the way the world works, hey? Now, I want to get off that because this video has already been quite long. I've already been ranting for 12 minutes and just talk about the other stories. It was said that Inter Milan are interested in signing Mason Mount on loan with an option to buy this summer. If you're letting Mason Mount go on loan, only obligation to buy, because if Mason Mount is fit, he's useful to Manchester United. Okay? If Mason Mount goes out on loan and stays fit, then cool, they will buy him. Cool. But if Mason Mount is fit, you might as well just have him at Man United, because the problem with Mason Mount isn't ability, is if he's fit or not. If you can sell Mason Mount permanently in the summer, sell him, because I don't think Mason Mount's going to stay fit next season. But a loan with an option to buy is stupid, because if he's injured, you've sent him out on loan for the year, he's injured, and they're obviously not going to buy him, and then we're back with him next year with his value reduced. But if he's fit, he can start for us. And I guess if he's fit and he plays, it gives him an option to buy at the end. But I want Mason Mount sold permanently in the summer. I want him sold permanently in the summer. That's what I want. Because he's not going to stay fit next season, in my opinion. Even though I think the fully fit Mason Mount in that 10 role really benefits us, he's not going to stay fit. It was also said that Man United fearing that they will struggle to find a buyer for Rasmus Hojlund in the summer, and they may be forced to keep him as a squad player or listen to loan offers. So again, for me, Hojlund, he might be one to go out on loan because he needs confidence. I think there could be a player there, but he needs confidence. And we discussed that loads in my live stream earlier today. So if you want to hear my opinions on Hojlund, check out my live stream from earlier today. Thank you for watching. Bye.